There we go. Yeah, it did. So I'm recording.
You ready?
I am.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. This is my friends. Today's episode is Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee is an animal advocate. She is a Reiki master, and she's also a speaker. And anything else that I didn't mention, she will mention for us. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I met Jamie Lee through Al Jensen. It was one of the workshops that Al does. And then I saw Jamie Lee taking the national speakers training and got graduated and gave a speech. Can you tell us about that training?
Yeah, so I was a member of the National Speakers Academy. And the reason I signed up for that, not so much that I ever dreamed of being a keynote speaker, but because I am passionate about animals and the human-animal bond and how animals have the power to transform people's lives. So I work with people individually, I teach people, but I knew I had to reach a bigger audience. So I thought, how am I going to do that? I guess I have to speak. And I tell you, I do a lot of things that I would never dreamed I'd be doing, but for animals. Because if you say it's for animals, I'll pretty much jump right in, even if I never dreamed I would do it. So I went through the academy. It was a year-long academy, and we met every week for at least 3 hours. We would practice our speech. We would have professional speakers come in and speak to us, give us, their tips on the business. And then we started meeting in masterminds at least once a month. So it was a lot of work. You had to be committed to it, but it was an amazing experience for me. And for graduation, we had to get up at the NSA meeting in front of all the professional speakers and deliver our speech. So that was a little terrifying, but I made it through that. And, I've just been speaking out for animals ever since.
That's beautiful. I remember seeing you at that meeting. And will you recommend another speaker to take the academy at NSA? Is that something that definitely helped you?
Yes, it definitely helped me. And if you're interested in being a speaker, absolutely take it. But if you're someone like me who just has this burning desire, this message that you feel like you have to share with the world, you also need to take the Speakers Academy, because it's going to help you be able to do that in a much more professional, much more effective manner, so that people actually hear what you have to say. So hands down, I would recommend people take the Speakers Academy.
Beautiful. Now I see a word as zoolinguistic. What does that mean?
Oh, zoolistic, yes. So think of Dr. Dolittle, how he spoke to animals. Well, that's what I do, only I don't use words. I use energy. And I use the energy of Reiki. And so that gets people wondering exactly, what is a zoologist and what do they do? And then I can tell them. I speak to animals through energy.
That's beautiful. So are you a healer?
I am indeed. I don't like to call myself that. I do Reiki, animal Reiki, and it is the Let Animals Lead, which is different than a lot of the typical Reiki that people are used to. It was created by Kathleen Prasad from Animal Reiki Source after thousands and thousands of hours of working with animals. And Reiki is Reiki, but the approach to animals is different. And so that's what I teach with people, how to effectively approach animals with energy work. And I say I'm not a healer because I don't really do anything. I sit with the animal, I become Reiki, and then I invite them to step into the space. It's totally up to them. So it's kind of like you and I. So if you broke a leg, you would go to the doctor, they would set it. Did the doctor heal your leg? Not really. They set it, they prepared it, but your body did the healing. So that's how I look at it.
Okay, I went to a Reiki training, and so I did the first course and the second one. And so what I found out that when we were practicing on giving Reiki to people, you're able to feel the centers where there is pain, and you're able to, if you will put your hands on their ears, you're able to sense when there was a lot of words that were negative saying to them, and you were able to tell them what you felt. I remember I did Reiki on one lady one time, and as I touched close to her belly, I told her that if she had a surgery. And she said no. I said, well, I felt when I put my hands of surgery on it. And she said she had a problem that surgery was one of the possibilities. So I was sensing that. And it's beautiful sensing the energy. And I believe when you do Reiki, you are a channel for the energy to come through you and heal the person. That's why you don't call yourself a healer, but you are the channel through where the energy comes and heals.
Yes.
That you're able to sense it. So I thought your work is beautiful, because I was thinking that how do you communicate with someone that doesn't speak your language? So
Exactly.
that is a talent, that is a gift.
Exactly. And I have a client, and so with animals, it's a little bit different because we can't talk to them, and they lead the session. So I don't touch them unless they ask me to. I just go in. It's done through special Reiki meditations that we do in the presence of the animal. And so I've been working with him for a while, about 3 months in person, and then I have animal Reiki circles every week, and he was coming to those. And he had been swimming and he hurt his back leg. So I went and I started the meditation. His mom joined me because I always like to work with the pet parents too. And he laid down between us, and we went through the session, and I was getting ready to leave, and he came up and he was wiggling around and he was putting his hind end up to me. And I could tell he wasn't ready for me to leave. And then he went and he jumped up on the window. There's a windowsill, like a window box, and that's where he lays. So I went over, and to me, that was my invitation to touch him. So I went over and I touched his hips, and then he showed me his paw because his paw was also hurt, and he put his paw in my hand.
Wow.
And we stayed like that for another 20 minutes. So I always allow the animals to tell me if they want touched. I don't touch unless they tell me they want it or show me. And then I just become Reiki. I don't focus on their problem. So it's a little bit different than people. And I just see them as perfect. And then the body, they go into that space and they can heal themselves. And they respond so incredibly to Reiki.
That's beautiful. So you see the perfection within them already, and then they get into the field of energy, and that's how they heal themselves. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful work. Also, I want to talk about how people can contact you, and is it okay that people contact you after they visit the doctor and they don't see improvement on their animals? And
yes, and I do have some clients like that, and I always like to talk to them about sometimes healing doesn't look like we think it should, especially with our pets. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else. If one of my pets is sick, I just want them well. But sometimes healing doesn't mean that they just get well. Because I believe that our pets have something to teach us. And I've seen this time and time again, where animals may be reflecting on what's going on with us. So, for example, I was at a sanctuary. It was a shelter here in town. It's no longer operating. It was a no-kill. And I was offering Reiki to the animals there. And just as I was leaving, the manager came and said, my friend just showed up with her dog. Would you offer Reiki? Because the dog has cancer and is going in for surgery. So, of course, I said yes. And we went outside to a large, open, fenced-in area for the animals. And it was just us. And it was a big dog of some kind. And it was running just like a tornado, circles as fast as it could around that entire enclosure. And I thought, there is no way I can offer Reiki to this dog. I can't even get its attention. Mm-hmm. But then the mom came up to me, and she was just like that. And she was like, this is the first dog I've ever owned, and I've never had a dog with cancer, and I've never lost a dog, and I've never had a dog that had surgery, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And and I'm like, wait, will you sit down and let me offer you Reiki? And she looked at me like I was nuts, but I knew that that's about all I could do at that point. And so she did. And within 30 seconds, all I did was, I was just going to do a quick little chair session. And 30 seconds of just touching her shoulder, having her breathe with me, the dog came over and laid down at her feet. So the animals reflect what's going on with us. And also, sometimes when they're sick like that, I believe they come to teach us something. And they may sign on for an illness. Maybe, like you're really driven to succeed and you work a lot and you're doing all these things, and all of a sudden your dog gets sick. And you have to decide if you're going to keep, being gone all the time and driving to succeed, or if you're going to stay home and take care of them and get quiet and be still. So maybe the lesson there was you need to slow down and be present with your dog or cat or, whatever your pet is. So I like to make sure that people understand, especially if they've been to a vet and they're not getting help, because, I'm not against veterinarians at all. I think we should all have a good relationship with our vets. And I believe you should have a holistic vet on board as well. And, but it's important to understand if they haven't been able to help, not to expect miracles. Have I seen them happen? Yes. But we need to look at what's really going on. What's the lesson here for all of us?
So when they try vets and that doesn't work, you help them understand what the lesson can possibly be, and will that clarity bring understanding, and that might make the sickness disappear when they understand what the purpose of the sickness is?
It might, or it might bring acceptance that your time together is coming to an end physically, yes. But that energy, we're all energy, our pets are energy. It never goes away. It just transforms into a different shape. So even if they do pass away physically, energetically, they are still around.
Will you be able to help someone that can get over the fact that their pet passed away and they don't feel good about it, or they're having a hard time or a lot of moments of sadness?
Reiki is excellent for that. And ultimately, Reiki is a lifestyle. It's not just something we do. It's a lifestyle. So it's important when you're working with someone. And I will say this, if you're hiring, someone to work with your pets or to work with you, you want to make sure that they have adopted the Reiki lifestyle. Because there's a lot of people out there, and you know this as well as I do, you can learn Reiki in a weekend.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you really have embraced the Reiki lifestyle. And there's a big difference there, because it's all about compassion. And compassion is the ultimate healer. You know, when we live our life in compassion, accepting that everything that happens to us happens for a reason, it even helps us when I go through difficulties. When I lose a pet, I have the tools that I need to help me get through that, the Reiki tools. It's not always easy, naturally, but I have the tools, and the people can have the tools too. By working with me, I give them, explain to them, these are the tools. Here's what you need to do to help yourself through this. Because ultimately, that's what Reiki is about, getting us through life, walking through life with peace and compassion and love.
That's beautiful. Now, do you teach Reiki?
I do. I teach. Right now, I focus on animal Reiki. However, in my classes, we also teach chair sessions that you could do on people and friends, that type of thing, and self-healing, because that is so important. That's like the number one thing. My first level class, that's what we focus on the most. We talk a little bit about the history of Reiki. We focus on why it's so important that you heal yourself. And then we go through the techniques with animals. And we also go out to an animal sanctuary where these amazing animal teachers you get a chance to work with. And you think, when you start that you're going out there to help the animals, and you find out by the end of the day that they have been teaching you.
That's beautiful. So what you're going to get is not what you get.
Exactly.
I see. That is beautiful, Jamie.
Thank you.
Would you, so I see Animal Bonds in there as your logo. Is this your company name?
Yes, my company name is Animal Bonds, and my website is animal-bonds.com. And it needs some updating. I'm changing some of the information, but yes, that is my website. I'm on Facebook, Jamie Lee Animal Bonds. They can find me there. I'm on LinkedIn, and I am on Instagram. So Jamie Lee Animal Bonds.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So now help us to understand the word sublingualist, okay? Or like I read it when I see you speaking, but it's hard for me to say it. So
Okay, yeah.
that means that you're able to speak, you're able to communicate with animals. Is that what it means?
I'm not an animal communicator, so I always make that clear to people.
Okay.
And I don't focus on getting messages. Now, I know a lot of people ask for that. I focus, when I come in and I work with an animal, I become Reiki. So if I was focused on waiting for a message or something like that, I would be in my head.
Yes.
When you become Reiki, you have to be in your heart.
Okay.
And so that's where I go, into a compassionate heart space. Do they sometimes, sometimes I hear things, but I don't focus on that. So I tell people I'm not a communicator. Don't expect to get messages or find out why. I am going to make a heart-to-heart, compassionate, spiritual connection with your animal and create a space. I'm going to create a healing space, and they will decide if they want to step in. And most of the time they do. And when they don't, it doesn't mean it's never going to work. It might be that just that day, they don't want to do it. Or maybe you had me come at a time when they usually go for a walk. And they're like, I want to do my walk right now. I don't want to do Reiki. Mm-hmm. And so, those are all factors that, can play into it. So I always, before people set a time, to visit with me, have me visit their animals, I say, now, let's find a time when they're not going to be expecting to eat or walk or play. And so they can just be present for the Reiki. And sometimes, like I say, they say no, and then the next time they're all about it.
So you go to people's addresses to treat them. Let's say you go and the dog wants to go for a walk. He's not ready for Reiki for you, and he's not ready for the spiritual connection. Do you have to go back in another time? Like do you go back at another day? Or
I try the session because, by then we have, talked about, what's a good time. So I go ahead and just become Reiki. I allow the animal, if it wants to move around the room, if it wants to leave the room, I allow them to choose whatever they want to do. So what happens most of the time, how it's different, animals accept Reiki different. Like for us, we usually lay on a table, we're relaxed. People, the practitioner can say, can I touch you? We can say yes, we zone out. It's a little bit different with animals. So yeah, they zone out. They can go into a pretty deep sleep, or then they might get up and go get a drink. They might walk around the room and then go find a new place to lay down. What you look for, they yawn, they get droopy eyes, their heads droop, they fall asleep. But it's not uncommon for them to move in and out of the energy. They may even go eat and then come back and accept more. So I was at a sanctuary again, and I didn't tell anybody. I was just there. They had an open house, so I went to see it. And I came up to this horse, and I stood right up by the corral, and I put my hands over there. And she came up and put her head like right in my hands. And so I stood there for about 10 minutes offering her Reiki. And then she walked clear across the corral. I thought, well, she's probably done, but I'm just going to stand here a minute just in case she's just readjusting. Mm-hmm. And what she did is she walked backwards. And I've never seen a horse walk backwards like this. And she came right up. I mean, she got her butt right up to the fence. So I put my hands on her hips, and she stayed there for another 10 minutes. And then as I was leaving, I told the manager of the sanctuary what had happened. And she said, oh, she used to be a rodeo horse, and she has really bad arthritis in her hips.
Wow.
So again, I had no clue, never met the horse before. And she immediately came up to me. I was just standing there, and then she backed away and then came back showing me where she wanted to be touched. And then when she was done, she took off. So with animals, they really are in charge of the session. It's up to me as the practitioner to read what they're saying to me with their body language. And sometimes, it's easy for us to make mistakes, even me. And that's how I learn. And they are my teachers by showing me what they want and me learning what they're saying to me.
How many treatments do people expect to get from you in order for them to see an improvement?
It depends what we're, what the whole, I don't want to say problem, but why I'm there.
The situation.
Because it can be just for general wellness. It can be if an animal is ill. I tell people that at least 4 sessions. You should do at least 4 sessions. Now, it depends. If it's general wellness, what I recommend is that people have me see their pet once a month, and then they come to the Animal Reiki Circle where we all participate online. So there is that. Also, what I've found is with sporting dogs, people who compete with their dogs in nose work and agility, and they have big competitions, and the people who have their dogs and who do this, they work very hard. Nothing is too good for their dogs. And Reiki will help with the focus and the bond, because those people understand they're the handler. And if their energy is off, the dog is going to be off. And when they compete, they want to go in and be so synchronized and such a team that it just flows. And so Reiki's a wonderful thing for people that are involved in dog sports. And there again, it just depends, like once a month and then come to the circle, because I really need to work with the owner or the handler, the person whose dog this is, especially in those situations.
That's beautiful. Now, to find about prices, will they find it on your page, the Animal Bond page?
Yes, some of the prices are on there. I can say, so it's normally normally like $100 for a session. And then there might be a little charge for travel depending on, where you live from me. Right now, the Animal Reiki Circle is free. And so, you still get me. You come as a group. All you need is a quiet, comfortable place for you and your pet, and it can be any pet, doesn't matter, and access to Zoom, and I guide you through the meditation.
So Animal Circle is an online gathering that you're offering for people to join the meditation and connect to healing through the meditation with you.
Yes, it is. It's every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, and it's a great way to start if you're not familiar with Reiki. And they can go to my Facebook page, and I keep, put posts on that. It's on Meetup, so.
That's awesome. I'm glad. So that is also for people that is unable to pay you. Maybe they want to know more about it. Yes. So when they become familiar with it, if they can ever pay you, they can hire your services. But if not, they can at least join the meditation to be a part of your group, your circle.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I'm so
glad. I plan on doing them free for at least the end of the year. So.
Okay, perfect. So you will be posting on, so follow you on Facebook to find out about it?
Yes, that's the best thing to do, to follow me on Facebook, that Jamie Lee Animal Bonds, and then I post, I'll put a post on, hey, don't forget tonight's Animal Reiki Circle, the link's in the comments.
So you do post reminders for people not to forget, even though if they're busy, because sometimes we get confused. We don't know if it's Wednesday or Thursday or Friday.
I know, yes.
That's good.
I forget what day it is too, especially now, right? With everything going on, it's really easy to forget what day it is.
Yes, this is a tough situation for all of us. I think sometimes it's hard just to, even just looking at the date, like you're looking at the date and then you're thinking, well, I need to pay my phone bill now, otherwise I'm not going to have a phone.
Yes.
Yeah, so
it's, and Reiki can help us with this too, accepting and just being present and allowing all the insanity and craziness and uncertainty and fear that is in our world today, and it just helps us be at peace with it.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Jamie Lee. That's my thank you background.
Oh, I love it, Maria.
I think it matches your colors, your theme.
It does.
It's pink and blue. I appreciate you so much. You are welcome to come back anytime. And the reason I number the episodes is that people can identify which one they're talking about. If there is something that you mentioned or they want to ask you about, they will be able to tell you episode 5 or episode 47. So you're welcome to come back. I'm looking to do more of this. If you find it helpful, if you enjoy the experience, I am glad to have you again, anytime.
Well, thank you, Maria. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for asking me to be on. And I hope everybody found it interesting and, beneficial. And hopefully they are interested in joining the Animal Reiki Circle with their pet. And you know what? Even if they don't have a pet right now, but they're struggling because of COVID or, all the stuff going on, please come join us.
So it's not just for pets, it's also for people that don't have pets and they
Yeah.
want to join the movement.
Yeah.
The circle of wellness and compassion.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful mission.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Maria.
You're welcome.